Yeah, Chelsea 3, Cardiff 1. We got all the Chelsea big boys with us. Frank Leboeuf joins us, of course, former Chelsea player, plus our Chelsea correspondent, James Olley, with us as well. Craig, you watched this game?
Did I?
Yeah, I think so. You watched it more than I did.
I'm not quite sure it did. It was
much to watch.
It was on.
It wasn't much to watch.
It was on. They made a lot of changes. They went to the bench, get the job done. Obviously, Cardiff got back into it. Chelsea, look, there's not a lot to say about it. Chelsea expected to win. Anything else would have been a disaster, particularly after the last few days.
Yes.
You know, the manager's comments, the press conferences, the sort of lines he's been thrown out there, chucking out the bait, which, you know, every Tom, Dick and Harry try to work out what he's meaning, what he's talking about. So the last thing he would have wanted was to go out of this competition to a third-tier team, which, you know, it was a hard-fought cup time for them. It wasn't easy, but in the end, just that little bit of quality. As I say, went to the bench, got the job done.
Frank, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, no, nothing much. I mean, easy to say that Chelsea did the job, but I want to give credit to the Welsh. I mean, that team really surprised me for a League One team. Or I guess they're going to be promoted, and they deserve it. So, because I mean, the way they play, the way they managed to come back, and the quality that they had. Yeah, they made mistakes at the back, especially on the first goal. But everything that they did was very well thought and very well played. So it wasn't easy for Chelsea. You expect on those kind of ties to see more physical type of game from a lower team, but it wasn't the case. So Maresca needed to change many players in order to finish that team winning that game. But yeah, they carry on. Semi-final, good for Chelsea.
That's back-to-back wins, of course, for Chelsea, James. And what was interesting, of course, and what grabbed all the headlines were Enzo Maresca's comments after what happened in the Everton game. Obviously, their first win in 4. You thought, right, turn the corner a little bit. Then he comes out with this riddle talking about the hardest 48 hours he's ever had at Chelsea.
Yeah, so I've been speaking to quite a few people around the club about this, and my understanding of the situation is that there hasn't been a specific incident, there hasn't been a sort of bust up behind the scenes that has triggered this one moment. I think it took quite a lot of people at the club by surprise. Some people very close to Maresca were very surprised by his public outburst. And I think what we're seeing is more a head coach who perhaps feels as though he's slightly outgrown the terms of his employment in the first place. When he was hired by Chelsea, I think, you know, people felt they were maybe taking a little bit of a gamble on Maresca. He wasn't obviously proven in the Premier League. And when you're a head coach at Chelsea, you come into a structure that is a bit unconventional. There are, you know, 2 sporting directors, there's a performance team, there's a medical team. They all have kind of a big input, and there are regular meetings. The owners obviously also have their say. And there is a very comprehensive structure around the head coach. And I think the consequence of last season's success, getting into the Champions League, winning the Conference League, winning the Club World Cup, I think he feels he's earned a little bit more authority, a little bit more of a say in what's going on. And I think the genesis of this is possibly that, and then maybe somebody in a meeting before the game, in one of their regular sort of feedback sessions, has said something that he didn't like, or has maybe questioned a plan selection or the use of a player, and that has triggered this situation. I don't think it's anything that as far as I'm aware, there's not been one massive bust up that this is alluding to. I think this has been building for a while.
Frank, what are you giggling at?
No, it's just because maybe we try to analyze and understand something that maybe he just made up, that he didn't know what to say. You say, you know what? That was the first 48 hours. Maybe he didn't know what he was talking about. Because
what do you mean? He knows what he's saying, surely.
No, he knows what he's saying. He knows what he's saying.
It's not you.
He's the only one. In that case, maybe he's the only one. Exactly. He tries to only think that I have to make up something like that. Maybe they're gonna go in another direction, and they're not gonna bother me by the way we play or the way we display. But this is what it is. He got a draw and 2 losses in 3 games. and he's trying to tell us that that was the worst 48 hours. People don't really like, the way consistency is flying over Chelsea and that club. And so, yes, the fans, they love the club, and the fans and the board and everything. But at the end of the day, everybody wants to see wins. And that's it. And they don't want to see analyses and stupid explanation. And we don't care about the worst 48 hours. Do your job. And we know it's hard, but what we want is for the club to win. That's
Frank,
it.
of all the theories there's been about this, that is the worst one. He didn't know what he was saying.
So basically, he's feeling the pressure. He's feeling the pressure that's coming from around the club. It's not the fans, it's not the media.
But from what James is saying,
it's not the players.
He's feeling unloved, basically. Like
He's feeling the pressure, Dad.
He feels like he deserves more credit for what
And you want to analyse that?
What? You want to talk about his formation against Cardiff?
Scrub away all that stuff you've just come out with. He's feeling the pressure.
Right.
Because all of a sudden, in the space of 2 weeks, including ourselves, talking about maybe Chelsea could be fighting for a title, the way they performed, particularly against Arsenal, and then all of a sudden, there's questions being asked because they go on a bad run. He's feeling the pressure. It's as simple as that.
But he just won. You'd imagine that would be the time.
I tell you what, I much preferred the Mo Salah discussion, because at least we knew what the crux of the issue was.
What are the Chelsea?
You think it's
and it
simple?
was out there. This is.
Don't you think it's really just simple? He's feeling it.
No, I think so. And initially, when these comments come out, it did, on the face of it, seem as if this was a jibe at the hierarchy, which James is saying, with these sources, that doesn't seem to be the case. Of course, there's going to be a bunch of people, and there's a lot of people with their fingers in the pie at Chelsea, but Enzo Maresca knew that when he took the job, and Tuchel had his problems there, Potter definitely had big problems, Pochettino had his issues with control, and I'm sure Enzo Maresca was having the same issues. But the bottom line is he got a lot of credit after the Arsenal game, a lot of credit for the way they played, not so much for the Caicedo lack of discipline, but for the way they played, and they didn't take that forward. They didn't take that forward with momentum. He left James and Neto out the side. They had some bad results. They travelled to Italy. They lost against Atalanta. They had a pretty dull draw down in the south coast against Bournemouth. And I think there is a pressure on him. There's a pressure to keep moving the club forward, to play better and to get better results and really possibly mount some sort of title challenge that we can debate whether they're ready for that or not. But that's what people are looking for, and I think he is, as Stevie said, just sort of feeling the pressure of the situation at the moment, and he needs to get good results and a consistent run of good results.
Is he right to feel under pressure, James?
Well, the club have always said that they were going to review his position at the end of his second season, and nothing has changed from that. And also, if Maresca's sort of feeling as though maybe he's not, I've seen it sort of suggested in a number of places that he maybe feels he's not had enough public support. Well, he's already had that a couple of times this season, and the club can't really come out every sort of 3 or 4 weeks and say, no, he's our man, he's our man, he's our man, because it just starts to lose its value, and it looks a bit weak from the hierarchy, frankly. So, look, I mean, it's sort of business as usual as far as I'm being told, in terms of, I spoke to people who were in the team hotel today who sort of said, he was fine. I took the meeting as normal before the game, no change in his sort of general demeanour. And I don't think there's any kind of desire from the hierarchy to want to move him on. But that said, what he's done here is kind of the worst of both worlds, really. If he was going to go public, he could have gone public and been very specific, but he sort of went a bit public and then kind of backtracked and then refused to kind of elaborate, and has just created this kind of scrutiny on the club that wasn't there before, because myself, I'm obviously not the only journalist asking these questions. There are a lot of people now asking questions, looking for issues. Is this a problem? Could this be an issue? And you've sort of created this kind of almost environment around the team that didn't need to be there. So I'm not really sure why Maresca... Look, I mean, I know Frank says maybe he's making it up. One thing I would say to that is just look back at the timeline of how this happened. So After the game on Saturday, he has to do his flash interviews, which are sort of TV interviews that he has to do within 20 minutes of the final whistle. So he comes out, he does all of those. He then comes and does the post-match written press conference, which is after all of those flash interviews. It's the last bit of media that he has to do. And his outburst, if you want to call it that, was right at the end of that press conference. So the sort of party line that came out afterwards, oh, this is an emotional guy being emotional. Well, A, you've won. B, you've had quite a lot of time to calm down. And C, this has come not in a line of questioning that was provocative or from a journalist that he didn't like. This was right at the end of his media for the whole day to sort of say, right, oh, and by the way, I'm not very happy with this. See you later. Worst thing for him is he then had to do a press conference less than 48 hours later where he was going to get all the follow-up questions. But my point is that it's Maresca it's on him to really explain this, and yeah, he leaves himself open to the conclusion that he is feeling the pressure, because what I'm hearing from behind the scenes is the club are happy to look at this at the end of the season, as was always the case anyway.
He's created a confusion.
Yeah, unnecessarily.
Exactly.
So. You get asked about Gusto and you start going on about 48 hours.
Yeah, and whether this was some sort of sideshow to get us talking about, is Maresca happy, is the problems, and talk less about 2 or 3 iffy results. I don't know. You never know with some of these managers what they try and use as a tactic to deflect from certain situations. But what he has created is this situation of confusion. Is it just he's feeling unloved? Is it a boardroom issue? Is it one or two players in the dressing room? Is it the fans getting on his back? Is it the media? Is it the back page headlines? Maybe questioning whether he can take the club further forward. I mean, we don't know what it is. He's just made a confusing situation when he could have come out really and just, if he was really, really unhappy and just clarified the situation, which he hasn't. He's talked about delivering messages in Spanish, Italian, British and French and all these different languages. I mean, nobody really cares.
Idiots like us talking about it.
Nobody really cares. No, but I think the Chelsea fans, really, if you're a supporter of Chelsea and you're hanging on the manager's every word and on every result, you just want to know, what is the situation here? Are you committed to the club, to the end of the season? If that's the case, as James said, will they review his contract? Or are you looking to jump ship here because you're not happy with something, but you're not telling people what you're unhappy about? All very, as I say again, confusing.
Indeed. James, apparently that's all you're on for today. Do you want to add anything?
No.
Oh, here he goes.
Wait, Dan. It's not confusing because according to this press conference before the Cardiff Chelsea, he said that he was really clear and that he explained everything, that everybody shouldn't be confused. It's what he said. James can elude that. That's insane, because it's why I think it comes from nowhere, because even after he said that he's clear, so that he explained everything, he explained nothing, put that out, and we're going to, debate about that, maybe or not.
James, would you like to add anything before you depart?
Well, I thought we were going to talk about Thomas Frank, but
no,
I guess not.
Our producer's obsessed. Who cares about Spurs these days? No one. Thank you very much. Much appreciated, James. Just a reminder, it's Manchester City against Brentford.
Oh, he'll be wanting to talk about Xavi Simons again, the producer. Oh, my good Lord.
Back at those games tomorrow.